Time now for a Bloomberg exclusive. The president's top economic advisor, Larry Summers, was here in New York and offering his thoughts on the recovery and more. He was the special guest at the Bloomberg FX09 conference. Our own Peter Cook hosted the hour-long conversation with Summers. Peter, you're here this morning. Tell us about it.
An unusual extended conversation with the director of the President's National Economic Council. We talked about everything from the deficit and the dollar to China's economy, but we began with the current state of the U.S. economy. And given the unemployment rate, Summers made clear the Obama administration is by no means declaring victory, but he does believe we're in a much different place than we were just a few months ago.
If you choose some credit spreads, you'll conclude we're 90% of the way back to normal. If you choose others, you'll get a smaller fraction. But you will find it hard to escape the conclusion that there's been a substantial return to more normal conditions.
Summers says he doesn't buy the notion that the U.S. economy faces a new normal, a period of protracted below-trend growth. He wouldn't comment specifically on some of the new ideas being kicked around Capitol Hill to jumpstart job growth. And he was also hesitant to talk much about the dollar, but he did challenge suggestions the U.S. is hoping to keep the dollar low to boost recovery, citing the current Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner.
I think he's made it very clear that our commitment is to a strong dollar based on strong fundamentals. And I think any idea that nations can devalue their way to prosperity is one that economic experience very much belies.
And the National Economic Council Director, Larry Summers, also talking with me about regulatory reform, stressing the importance of getting regulatory reform in place to prevent a crisis from happening again in the future. I did press him on one topic, and that was this idea of banks being too big to fail. I asked him, would it be a mistake for Congress to come through with regulatory reform, a regulatory reform package that didn't have the end result of making banks that are right now large, in fact, smaller? Here was his answer.
I think the criterion for success is not the size of an individual institution. The criterion for success is whether we have restored market discipline